my friends, my lovely, lovely friends, in a rare, incredibly rare, and unusual, and special occurrence, we have been Monkey's Pod. The monkey's paw has uncurled one of its nasty, nasty fingers. So a while back, Nintendo released a big update for the Pikmin 4 game. And, you know, it had a bunch of stuff that they hadn't even advertised, which was so great. Like, all these things that were just, they were so important. These things that we had been asking for, a New Game Plus, and mainly, perhaps like really more than anything, the ability to turn off the auto target lock. That was a thing that was really, really controversial with the original release. And it's weird that it took them multiple years to fix it. But they did, and it was great, and we rejoiced until we realized that for some reason they decided to do it this way, where when you start throwing, it locks the cursor in place. And like, you know, again, I did a whole video on this, so like I don't need to go over the whole thing, but like I could sort of see the reasoning behind it a little bit. But it also, it kind of defeated the purpose. Like, the reason to not have it lock on is so that you can constantly be moving the cursor and fine-tuning your aiming. But, like, if it's locked in place, you can't fine-tune anything unless you use motion controls. Okay, yeah, motion controls made it a little bit better. But not everyone wants to use motion controls. And especially when you're playing handheld, motion controls on Pikmin, it just doesn't really work. I wish that it did, because I like motion controls, I like fine-tuning the aiming with them, but yeah, playing handheld, it doesn't really work. It's mostly good for controllers. So yeah, they were so close. They were so close. And the thing about Nintendo updating their games is, like, you never know when they're gonna be done with a game. You know, like, you never ever know when they're going to be done. Sometimes they'll keep updating a game until it's perfect, and sometimes they'll release it and that will be it. Or they'll release like one update and that will be it. Because, like, yeah, again, it's been years. It's been years. And so now they just now updated it. But then they did the big update, and it was like, is that it though? Like, was that it? That was the update, and that's where they're going to end this until maybe someday if we get a Switch 2 edition or whatever. I don't know. I wasn't, like, getting my hopes up. I wasn't anticipating that there would be another update. It kind of felt like that might have been our shot. Our shot to make the game perfect. Because I do maintain that beyond these little control issues, the game is basically perfect. Like, after the last update, it's pretty much everything I could possibly want. But no, they did it. They did it. They just released another update. And they, for the most part, they did exactly what they needed to do. Because we were like, okay, like, yeah, again, I get the idea. I get the idea behind locking the target, the cursor. You just need to make it optional. There needs to be, like, another option where you can turn on or off, like the locking thing. And I didn't think they would actually do it. But they did it. They did exactly, precisely that. You can now go down, yeah, and you turn it off, and then a second option. Tap A repeatedly to lock. Off. Boom. There it is. That's it. They did it. They unmonkey's pot us. It's great. It's lovely. Now, like, this is it. This is finally Pikmin 4 playing exactly as Pikmin 1 and 2 played. I mean, 3 as well, because with 3, you know, on the Wii U, you had the choice of pointer controls or just regular traditional stick controls. And now, that's it. We are free. We are free to move the stick however we please. It does not get stuck on anything. It does not lock into one spot. It does not lock onto any targets unless we want it to. You still have the option. That's the thing. If you want to lock onto something, especially during boss battles, like, you know, being able to lock onto something and throw and then move in a different direction. It's great. Now, on the subject of monkey's paws, it's a little bit funny, you know, and you know, on the subject also of this game being perfect, Nintendo they're still Nintendo at the end of the day. And I really did want this video to be nothing but great. I wanted the angle of this video to be Pikmin 4 is now perfect. I wanted that to be like the title and everything. Pikmin 4 is officially a perfect game that anyone can play with any control preferences. Unfortunately, we are close. We are close, but we are not all the way there yet, because somehow again, they've kind of missed the point. I mean, like, this was a thing, and they messed it up, but then they heard us, and so they updated it to fix it. And they kind of messed that up too, but then they listened and they updated to fix it again, and yet here's another layer, another problem. Now, if you just want to use the stick, it is perfect, but personally, I do like motion controls. I like the ability to use the stick in most things, but then when I am throwing in one spot, I like to use the motion controls to fine-tune my aiming, because, like, there is only so much you can do with a stick. It is going to be a lot bigger, jerkier movements. Motion controls are all, you know, again, assuming I'm not playing in handheld, motion controls will offer a decent level of accuracy. Not perfect. The gyro on this thing is still not as good as I want it to be. It's still not absolutely perfect, but it's still pretty good. I can still be pretty darn accurate. You know, it'd be like there, and it only kicks in when you start throwing. You know, when you start repeatedly hitting the A button, which is good because I don't want it here. You know, I don't want it always because I want to be able to move the controller around. But when I start throwing, it does that. The problem is that when you hit A repeatedly and the motion controls kick in, the control stick still moves the cursor. They should have made it so that when you do that, moving the control stick only moves the character and not the cursor. Because now, if you are fine-tuning your aim, but trying to move in a different direction at the same time, it doesn't work. It throws off your aim. So if you have to be standing completely still. And of course, the whole, you know, the biggest reason you'd want to use motion controls beyond just like, oh, I want to throw Pikmin at these really specific things, but another really big reason is to be able to move in one direction and throw in another. And that's why pointer controls were so good, because that is very powerful. It has a very powerful ability. You know, the first two games, it was just the stick and the cursor. So being able to run this way while throwing that way, like, that is a level of control that completely changes the game. And this was so close to achieving that. It was so close, and yet, like, no, you can't. You gotta be standing still. If you want to use motion controls, you can't also move, because it completely hijacks the cursor. Sigh. Big, heavy sigh. They've come so close. They've come so close. And you know, of course, you can just turn off the motion controls wholesale, so that the stick won't hijack the cursor. But yeah, for those of us like me, who it was so, because I mean, I never really super duper minded the auto lock on. I think just for the sake of, like, difficulty, the next time I play, I will probably turn it off. I do like the idea of having that extra flexibility. There is something that is kind of lost with the auto lock on. I like the option. So considering that, the absolute best would have just been, well, yeah, the way I described it. The way it is here, it's so close. It's so infuriatingly close to Pikmin 4. Just being the perfect game with control options for literally every person. But instead, no, they still messed it up. And it's hard to complain too much because it is so close. That is very specific. It is very specific. They mostly fixed the problem. For people for whom the auto lock on was a deal breaker, and then having it, like, be stuck to one spot was a deal breaker for that, For those people, it's great. But it's not quite perfect. And that is frustrating. It certainly is frustrating. And yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Are they going to come in with another one? Are they going to come in with a second and even more sub option under the other options that gives that you know, what do you call it? It's a control stick hijack on off. I don't know. I don't know if that's even a possibility or if Nintendo is just like, no, you know what? You got most of it. Eat your dinner and stop complaining. We don't want to keep updating this stupid game. I'm really not sure. I am trying to stay hopeful because obviously they're trying to do right by us. Like they keep messing it up, but bless them, they're trying. their hearts are in the right place, and I still have to believe. I simply have to believe that this is happening because there is going to be some greater update in the future. It's gotta be something like a Switch 2 edition. I know I can't get my hopes up, but if they were gonna give us a performance patch, they would have done it already. It would have come with all these other changes, so I have to imagine they're giving us all these changes to get us used to them now, and then there will be some greater update. Switch 2 edition, something, maybe new content next year. I have to hope. I have to believe. And if that's the case, then sure, maybe they'll keep listening. They listened the other time and the time before that. So maybe they will keep listening. I don't quite know why they're not just like intuitively understanding this when this is something that like anybody could tell them. Anybody who plays the game could tell them. Just sit down with anyone and they'll be like, hey, but what about this though? I don't really get why it's taking so long. But they're doing it to a degree. They're doing it. So yeah, it's sort of good news, bad news. Still mostly good news. Still mostly good news. Just for people who just didn't like the auto lock on. They just want to use the stick. No motion controls whatsoever. And for those people, it is a happy, happy day. And it is still kind of surreal. Just that, playing Pikmin 4 and being able to do that. It is nice. It really is nice. There was a certain convenience to the auto lock on, but there was also a certain inconvenience, especially when you just got like a bunch of stuff you want to pick up and you just want to. So yeah, that's it. That's the video on Pikmin 4. Bye.